toasting, joking too. Sipping and roasting is what we do. Light 'em up, drink 'em down. Whiskey and cigars all around. Cheers, y'all.
Well.
That sounds like the beginning of a party, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at episode number 345 of Smokin' and Toastin'.
I was just doing the math here,
Yeah.
and that's like the exact halfway point to 400.
Oh, good. 345, halfway to 400.
That's right.
Very excited about all of that. And I was just thinking about how many beers that is. You realize it's 345, like, different spirits. But beers, we do multiple beers every show.
3 beers per episode.
Yeah, and sometimes more. Like last week when we did the Oktoberfest blind taste test, there was a lot more than 3 beers.
That's right.
So, yeah. So, and of course, our program isn't, but should be brought to you by Uber. And so there, we'll just give them a little free plug there. Huh? Well, welcome. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Welcome to number 345. This is our first ever Clickbait show.
Clickbait.
Yeah, it's all about clickbait today. You know how from time to time
We did this little podcast about beer and cigars, and you won't believe what happened.
Yeah, it's almost like that. This is going to be today. We're going to deal with a number of very important lists: the best cigars, the best beer, and the best spirits for right now.
Right now.
Yeah, so that seems to be like a clickbait thing. If they put "right now" in the headline, it seems to draw more clicks.
Don't smoke any of these cigars until you've watched this video.
And don't save any of them for later. These are for right now.
Right now.
So we do have a whole lot of lists to bring you today.
Can you, when you read those lists off, can you read them in the monster truck voice?
I'll do my best. Yeah. 10 highly rated cigars to smoke right now. Sunday. We will have 9 highly rated cigars to smoke right now. 10 outstanding cigars to smoke right now. The 31 best beers to drink right now.
Right now.
And
I'm starting to see a theme going on.
And
here.
there's more. 22 best bourbons to drink right now.
This
the
show has a sense of
Anejo
urgency.
Tequilas to drink right now.
The best
yes,
Anejo.
it's a total sense of urgency, and we want to get to this, and we not only want to get to it, but we want to get to it right now. Yes, so that's our plan for today. So lots of interesting stuff like that. Plus, we will be tasting some things where the urgency is slightly less, but still interesting. From Schilling Beer Company in Littleton, New Hampshire, we'll be tasting their Jakobus, German-style Pilsner. I do not know what a Jakobus is.
I don't either.
I know what a jackalope is.
I like German-style Pilsners, though.
I know what a jackalope is, but I don't know what a Jakobus. And there's used to be a band out of Dallas called Jacko Pierce. I know
Jacko Pierce, yes.
I know that, but beyond that, not sure. I am, however, quite familiar with Clown Shoes Beer out of Boston, Massachusetts. We'll be tasting their Mad Perf Sesh. It is a dry-hopped session IPA.
That sounds awesome.
The boys at Clown Shoes. And then from Lone Pint Brewery, up the highway from us just a little bit here in Magnolia, Texas, we'll be tasting their Lone Pint Brewery El Cuero.
Oh.
It's a white stout. Have you had this before?
I have had this before. I've had it at the brewery.
And you know that El Cuero, of course, is Spanish for the Cuero.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes. That is a direct translation.
Yeah, so we'll be bringing that to you, even though Ian has had it before. And from Mexico and Jalisco, the Tequila Anejo called Pasote. Tequila Anejo. So looking forward to that. And we should be.
I like tequila.
Yes, I do too. So we're glad to have you on the program. Oh, we also have a mystery beverage. We'll get to that in just a moment. But I do want to tell you that we'll have drinking news on the show today, as we normally do, as we've been doing for quite some time. And our drinking news teaser headline today is, "This story is a bunch of bull." But it's true. But it's a bunch of bull. So we'll have that coming up for you. In addition to all these important right now lists that we have, we'll also have some cigars for you to watch for. And I don't know how much more we're going to get to past these lists because there's a lot of them. So, but we'll have fun with these. And I can already tell you, just from glancing at them, we're not going to agree with all of these right now. Lists.
Not so much on the right.
Some of them, yeah, we
Some
probably
of
will.
them maybe for tomorrow.
Yeah, perhaps. But we'll have to see how all of that goes. So, Ian, I'm going to go ahead and pass you over
The mystery.
today's mystery beverage.
Some of you may have noticed that we didn't have the teaser headline music
That's true.
today, and I just want to point out if you've ever been one of those people that's had that recurring dream where you show up to work but you're not wearing any pants.
I regularly do show up to work not wearing any pants, but yes,
Well, I
I
was
know
going to say I have shorts on today,
I know
but
the
I didn't
dreamers.
bring the ukulele. I totally spaced on it, and that's totally my fault.
You know-
which means
Yeah.
we're going to have to resort to the Chris Morris song.
For the Drinking News theme
Yes.
song. Well, thankfully we do have that, and Chris Morris was kind enough to write that and record it for us. So it's always good to hear it. Actually, I'll be looking forward to it.
Oh well, this smells like
Yeah.
licorice.
So mystery beverage. Go ahead and get some nose on this.
Oh
and
no, it
tell me
smells
what
like
you think.
root beer. Sorry, not licorice.
Oh, it does.
It smells like sassafras.
It reminds me of what was it called? There was a root beer. Maybe it was A&W. Maybe it was an A&W root beer. But they had it like a fast food restaurant, and you got the root beer, and you got hamburgers, and you got hot dogs and stuff all at
Yes,
the A&W
the
restaurant.
A&W restaurant.
Yeah,
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It was like a drive-through
yes,
and all
it
of
was.
that. Yeah, this reminds me of what that root beer always smelled like when I was
Yes,
a kid.
it does. It smells
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
like that.
Have you already taken a sip of this, Ian? Ooh, you've got a very,
Doesn't taste exactly like
very
that, huh?
unpleasant look on your face.
Hard pass.
Wow.
I'm not a big fan of root
tricked you.
beer. Root beer's okay.
You know what-
if I have to.
You know what it
And this
reminds me
tastes
of?
like root beer that I don't know. It's like root beer with a vegetal, like that salad's been sitting out too long kind of thing going on.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of not root beer, but those root beer flavored hard candies
Yeah,
that my
I was-
grandmother used
I
to
thought
kinda say
exactly
that.
of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
which never quite tasted like root beer.
Yes.
They were always like close, but something was a little icky about them.
Yeah.
Something's a little off there.
Something's a little icky about this too, I think.
This is
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, no,
This
it really
is-
isn't. And
You
I was
remember,
actually excited because it's been a while since I had a good root beer, and so I was excited when I smelled this. I was like,
Every
okay, this
once in
might
a
be
while,
really
a
good.
macro brew has like a funny commercial, and
Mm-hmm.
you remember the ones that were bitter beer face? Mm-hmm. That's what this does to you. It's not. Yeah, see.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's worse. See, the thing is, like the first, like when you put this in your mouth to take a sip, the initial flavor is like, okay, root beer, I get it. And then you swallow, and you're like,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's still there. Like
The
it's
finish is
lingering.
off,
It's
yeah.
so bad.
It's not Malort, but it's not
it is.
good.
Ugh.
Let me unveil the beverage itself from oh man, from Roadhouse.
Does that say Roadhouse?
From Martin House? From Martin House, a very respectable brewery in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is their
so-
hard root beer.
I love Martin House, and
I do
Martin
too.
House is a brewery that's not afraid to overstretch.
Yeah, which they clearly have.
They
here.
clearly have on this because this is awful.
If it tasted like it smelled, it would be
Agreed.
perfect.
Because I like the smell of it
Yeah,
a lot.
the smell is good.
It just
yeah.
smells like root beer, but hard root beer. This is not good. Oh man. Sorry,
is
Martin
giving it-
House. I love you guys so much. I love so much of what you do, but this
What is
not.
giving it that finish?
Oh, I don't know, and I'm not going back in to explore,
Okay,
but it
yeah.
ain't good. It's
Yeah.
bitter. It's got a light kiss of putrescence.
I haven't heard you use that one on any of your reviews so far.
just a light kiss
A
of
light kiss of putrescence.
Putrescence.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if putrescence is a word or not. It may be,
It's called Funk and Wagnalls.
but
See?
I think we all
We're
understand.
gonna put
what
that
you're
far
getting
away
at.
before I accidentally grab it and be like, hey, have a beer. Oh.
Yeah, I'm thirsty. Ooh, dang. Yeah, no, not good. It's not as bad as that off can of mead that we had that time.
No, well, nothing's as bad as that off.
was-
Which you brought
I
that
brought
can
it
of mead
again,
in
and
again,
it was good.
and it was good.
I know.
right?
Yeah, We just got a bad bottle. Or
That
a
was
bad
that
can.
was hilarious.
Well, all right. So much for the mystery beverage. Martin House, we love you. And thanks for taking big swings.
I'm just
you know?
yes. Well,
Even Jose Altuve doesn't hit a homer every time he's at
That's
bat.
right,
You know,
that's right.
so it happens. You
not
gotta-
every song is "Stairway to Heaven," ladies and gentlemen.
That's exactly right. Some are most definitely not. All right,
It can't
so-
be peaches for me every single time.
Oh,
yeah, I
man,
just
now
did that.
Yeah, you are a mean and cruel human being. You know that? That's really what you are. All right, I'm going to move into the country and move ahead
Millions
with
of peaches.
Yeah, if you were trying now, I have it in my head.
Yeah.
I cannot get it out of my head now.
Well, we'll have to exorcise it later on in the show with the Chris Morris version of the drinking news song. Ian, I'm assuming, this being a show that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, that you might have had an experience with a hand-rolled cigar this week that you could tell us about that might be interesting.
Let me tell you a little bit about this. So, this morning I got up and I went and taught a makeup lesson I didn't have time for this weekend. And so that was okay because my student was a lot of fun. But I was in a different mode because, I was going to work. And then instead of going to work here, which is a different kind of thing. Anyway.
A different kind of work.
A different kind of work. But anyway, no, I got up and did that. And then I had time to run over to Casa. But I didn't have a whole lot of time. So I actually was looking for something a little on the smaller side. And I ran across the Tatuaje. Now listen, I don't know how to say this, but Latier, is that right? Roxy is what it's called. This is what they call a petite robusto. It's 3.5 by 5 inches or by 50 ring gauge, which is pretty small, but a pretty round cigar.
Right, it's still a 50 ring
smaller
gauge,
than smaller than a nub.
Shorter.
Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler in this. This is one that Casey Johnson blended as a tribute to his dog. It comes in a box, and there's 20 in a box, and it's separated because 10 of the cigars are the Connecticut wrapper, and 10 of the cigars are the Maduro wrapper. So it's pretty fun. I grabbed one of the Maduros. This set me back. Well, we'll talk about the price in a little bit. Dark chocolate wrapper, somewhat lumpy and veiny, oily and leathery to the touch, single band. That doesn't all sound fantastic, but it really is kind of a cool looking little cigar, right? Firm overall feel. The pre-light sniff on this pleasant tobacco and barnyard I got on the nose. Not a whole lot more than that. Pre-light draw, I used a punch. It had a gentle draw on it. Chocolate, coffee, and leather is what I got right off the top. The initial light on this, Nicaraguan pepper blast. That was big. Spicy and sweet, earth and leather, pepper and coffee. Retrohale on that initial light was big, spicy pepper and fresh cut lumber. The first third of this, Tatuaje's signature spices and earth. Like Tatuaje's just in general they have a certain overall blend feel to them that is very. It's always spicy and earthy. It's so good. So Tatuaje's signature spices and earth are in full effect, backed by cedar and leather, delivered by rich, dense smoke. Great for smoke rings, by the way. The retrohale is spicy and meaty with a smoky finish, solid ash, good burn. Second third of the cigar, big spicy pepper, meaty broth, followed by notes of leather, earth, coffee, toast, and bitter chocolate. The retrohale is peppery and sweet cedar, solid ash, good burn. The last third of the cigar, pepper lightens up, leaving a meaty broth and toast backed by coffee and chocolate. This is the brothy meatiness of this. It's probably more than I've ever had in any single cigar. It's really, really good.
Interesting.
It's because it was more of a savory cigar flavor. Cigar flavors, you don't usually say savory when you're talking about cigar flavors.
What do you give it
that
to?
eats like a meal?
Yeah. So this was $8. I give it a 5.5. It's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
And it was tiny. It smoked way longer than I thought it would.
I'm interested in a cigar that creates broth. This sounds like a good thing to me. I like it.
Brothy and meaty.
We'll be right back. I'll tell you what I smoked this week as well. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Ian told you about a pretty interesting Tatuaje cigar that he had this week.
Are so good.
They really are. And when I was just thinking about how short that cigar was, though, that you were
3.5
describing.
inches.
3.5 inches. So you're into the second third, like almost immediately.
Yeah, it went. So
You know?
the initial light and the first third went by pretty quick, but it smoked for 40 minutes.
That's really not bad for
Yeah,
a
I was
cigar.
really surprised.
Yeah. Well, my cigar to tell you about this week is the Onyx Bold Nicaragua. I picked up this Toro a couple of months ago, and it's been waiting for me in my humidor, aging nicely and smiling up at me ever so often, saying things like, "Oh, hi, it's you. Don't I look delicious?" And it absolutely does. Silver and black packaging, silver footer around the base, beautiful, smooth, dark San Andres wrapper. Honestly, one of the more inviting-looking cigars in my whole
Onyx cigars are beautiful.
Yeah. So it's natural I would only have been able to hold out for so long, and I swear this to you. And I know you'll probably not even believe me, but it wasn't until I lit the cigar and then popped onto the interwebs to do some research about what kind of tobacco was in it that I found out it was yet another cigar blended by the one and only A.J. Fernandez.
That guy.
I swear I didn't know. I mean, I know I'm suspect and all that. Yeah, but look, even when I don't know it, apparently I'm still just a fanboy. You know, it happens whether I'm consciously thinking about it or not. AJ used the Mexican San Andres wrapper that I mentioned along with binder and filler from Nicaragua because that's what he does. Pre-light aromas were very earthy. Some chocolate and coffee, a hint of dried fruit. Sounds like my jam. Yeah. So I lit the Onyx Bold Nicaragua and was greeted by the return of an old friend, the Nicaraguan Pepper Blast.
Nicaraguan Pepper Blast.
Yeah, white pepper to be precise, but a definite NPP. Once that settled down, the first third got very earthy with mocha and a little bit of cedar. Nice even burn on this one from the very beginning. The pepper seemed to ramp up a little bit in the second third, adding a hint of cayenne to the finish. The chocolate and coffee that comprised the mocha note that I mentioned earlier for the first third became a little more coffee forward, and the strength ramped up from what had been medium at first to more like a medium full. In the last third, the Bold Nicaragua stayed pretty true to its core flavors, but the complexity became more and more noticeable as it smoked. A bit of minerality and a note of dried fruit also made their presence known, and the construction of the Onyx was damn near perfect. The initial ash hung on for almost 2 inches, and I really didn't have any trouble holding on to ash all the way down to the nub. From the name Onyx Bold Nicaragua, I had expected it to be a little more full-bodied than it was, maybe like a New World, for example, but I'd peg it at more like a medium to full. That said, the flavors were very big and very robust. This would be a good cigar for you to try if you're trying to learn how to identify different flavor notes, because they were very big and pronounced in this and kind of easy to pick out, even though it had a lot of complexity to it. I don't know what to think about my cigar hero, A.J. Fernandez. He's doing so many blends for so many people that I worry he'll deplete his bag of tricks or worse, his supply of really good tobacco. But he seems to just keep on keeping on, and the Onyx Bold Nicaragua is yet another example of what this man can do. It is a $9 to $10 cigar and very much in the league with AJ's other smokes at that price, as well as those from other companies. So here I go, recommending yet another AJ Fernandez cigar, the Onyx Bold Nicaragua Toro. And I promise to go the next several weeks, at a minimum, without reviewing any AJ products. I
That
look
you
back,
know of.
I've done like 3 out of the last 4 weeks have been AJ things, like, and this one really wasn't on purpose. So anyway, I'll do my best. I really did not realize it on this one until I was already smoking and typing my notes. So recommended and price to quality, a solid 6. This was a wonderful cigar. Wonderful.
Yeah, I've been smoking the Onyx cigars for a while. They were a
but I
go-to for me for a long time.
I don't
too.
think the
They're
older
great.
versions had anything to do with AJ. I think he was brought in to do this.
I think you're right,
Bold
but
Nicaragua.
The
so.
original Onyx cigars were also quite good.
Yes, they were. I enjoyed this one a lot, and it has me on the lookout for more. Okay, we got to take a break, and we will be back when we return. It's time to get into some of these lists, and you know when we're going to get into them, Ian?
Right now.
You got it.
Sorry, I
Thank
was
you
in the
very
middle
much.
of the sip when you
I
said
know.
that.
I didn't time that
Sorry
well.
for the awkward pause.
We'll be back, and we'll still be awkward. It's smoking and toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I'm really excited about this German-style Pilsner called Jakobus. Mostly because I don't know what that word means. I don't know if it's completely made up, if it's something like the jackalope here in Texas.
If only there was a device that you could ask questions, like a supercomputer that could be held in your hand.
If you could hold it in your hand, that'd be great, because you could always have
and
it
then
with
just
you.
ask it a question. Like, we'd have to give that supercomputer a name, like Alexa or Siri or something.
Right. If you could just ask it a question and it could tell you
One
something.
time when I was on the radio in the 90s, someone called me and asked me, like, who won some game or something. And I was like, what do you think? I have some sort of magic thing to ask? Well, yeah, I did have the internet behind me. I didn't even think that was-
Welcome to the reward. German and Dutch from the Latin personal name Jakobus, or Latinized humanistic form of its vernacular variants, Jacob with a K and Jacob with a C. This surname is also found in South Africa and North America. It may also be altered, an altered form of the German variant Jakobus.
So it's a surname.
Apparently it means he who supplants.
He who supplants. All right. Well, let's see if this supplants some other German lagers.
He who supplants.
So
I wonder if it's named after someone they know, or if they just thought, what a cool name.
I will tell you this.
I love the kind of austere nature of the...
Yeah, just very simple,
it's very simple and stately kind of thing.
And I will tell you this, on the nose, it gives off the aroma of about as pure a German Pilsner as you could get. I mean, it's just right down the middle.
Yeah, like this is one of those when you go, what does beer smell like? Google actually just says, see Jakobus. This smells like fantastic. It's just...
You know what else? It kind of tastes like beer, too. And I mean that in the most absolutely positive way. I mean, this is a German Pilsner for sure.
Oh, it's got the finish is so interesting. So this is bright. It's brighter than you'd think. It's light. It's got a it's almost got a weedy kind of feel to it, but it's not. It's got a and then it's got this kiss of this kind of hot bitter kiss that just gets immediately taken over by a sweet long finish.
It's a very interesting. It's much more. You think sometimes of Pilsners and lagers as being more straightforward in terms of their taste. Like the more complex things would more likely be the ales. In this case, this is a very complex Pilsner,
which you don't get a lot of.
Right.
You just don't. And I love that especially recently within the last few years, it's been the challenge of the microbrews instead of making the biggest and baddest brews, which I do love, by the way. But I love that they're going back and making some of these Pilsners, and they've revitalized the style for me, because I used to ignore the Pilsners and lagers in general.
Just packed these with flavor.
How do you make a beer this light, crispy, and refreshing that's this interesting? I mean, it
100%.
doesn't even... It doesn't even look... It's a pretty color, but it doesn't even look all that interesting. It just looks like
But it just looks like beer. And it kind of just smells like beer, too. But then when you actually take that first sip...
This looks a lot like what you find in macro brews. It's just kind of a yellow fizzy water.
Boy,
but it is
put this up against a Budweiser any day
yeah.
and show yourself what beer is supposed to taste like.
Oh, man, this is fantastic.
Put this up against a Coors, the original Coors.
Yeah.
And you'll very quickly understand this is what beer is supposed to taste like.
Yeah, it's
really
like what
is.
someone in Europe would tell you. Oh, this is what you're supposed to drink. This, try this. Yeah.
And it's interesting because for years, for decades, European beers were the best beers. Americans kind of took off with the craft movement, and then suddenly American beers were the best beers. And now you've got these wonderful American craft brewers now trying to do their best version of what the European brewers
styles,
were doing all along. And some of them... I'd take this over a Pilsner or Cal any day.
This is outrageously good.
Yeah,
if you happen to be
really good.
If you happen to be in, New Hampshire,
Littleton,
New Hampshire. Holy cow, you guys are lucky.
So that's all. That's where you can get it. Can't get it around here.
I'm not sure. I did get this one online, so I'm not sure where it's available around here. But I think you can get Red Hook beers here, right? So Red Hook's a New Hampshire brewery. I think I think it may be possible to get New Hampshire beers, but it's worth looking for.
Yeah.
From the Schilling Beer Company, Schilling, the Schilling Beer Company. It's Jakobus, and it is a wonderful German-style Pilsner. I think one of the better ones we've had in a long time.
This is outrageously good. You know what's killing me, though, is I can still smell this.
Oh, yeah, well, push that further away.
This root beer from earlier.
Take another drink. Maybe now it tastes like that.
That's how that awful mead was. Like, I had to remove them from the studio.
It's like distracting. I can still, every once in a while, I get a little waft of it over here.
So, back in late July, Cigar Aficionado, probably the cigar magazine that's most well known around the country, they have a tendency to release these lists with some urgency on them. And they released a list called 10 Outstanding Cigars to Smoke Right Now.
Right now.
The problem is we did not take their advice, and we made it all the way through August and part of September without getting to this list. And they've actually already released another one of 9 cigars.
You do realize that makes it even more urgent.
Oh, yeah. So this is like overdue and urgent. But let me go through this list of 10 cigars. And, you know, they do quite a bit of cigar tasting there between their weekly newsletter and their magazine, which comes out, which has quite a bit of, and they supposedly they do all their cigars blind tasting, although I think a lot of times you can tell. But anyway, these were some cigars that were highly rated, and they recommend them to smoke right now.
Right now.
From Cigar Aficionado. The Oliva Serie V Milanio Toro. It scored 96 points. It's a $15 to $16 cigar, Ecuador Sumatra wrapper, and Nicaraguan tobacco. You're not going to get any argument from either one of us that that's a cigar you should try right now.
Fantastic.
The next one, I've had one of these in the past couple of months, and I do agree it belongs on these lists. La Aroma de Cuba, Mi Amor, Belicoso. This is the one with the little, it's kind of a short torpedo with a kind of a rounded torpedo tip. It's between $9 and $10. It scored a 95, and it comes from Ashton Cigars, who make La Aroma de Cuba. The Padron Family Reserve number 95 Maduro. The number 95 is a Robusto. And this is a series that's mostly box pressed, but the Family Reserve number 95 is an unpressed cigar, and it actually looks
not unimpressed.
It actually looks a little rustic for one of the, because usually when you get into these Padron like upper end series, they're super smooth, right? This one's not like that. It's a little more rustic. You can see the veins of the wrapper, but a very good cigar. Retails for $30.
Yeah,
for a Robusto. So,
but you know, you buy a Padron at $30, you're gonna get a good cigar. I don't know of any
100%.
Like $30 Padron that isn't like fantastic.
So you can buy that cigar, or you can buy basically 3 of these: the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Robusto, which scored a 94 and retails for between $10 and $11,
which is also really good.
Yeah, it's a very, very good cigar, and probably one of my absolute favorite Dominican cigars in the world. The Ashton Virgin Sun Grown Enchantment. This is a short Perfecto with a little nub foot on it and a rounded head. It's a very small cigar. It's $15, but the Virgin Sun Grown line it's an expensive line of cigars.
You had me at Ashton VSG.
Boy, are they good.
Yeah.
And so I would recommend this
You literally can't go wrong with any of the VSGs.
A Cuban made the list. It's the Bolivar Royal Corona, the Tubo. It's scored 94 points. Retails for about 30 pounds if you're in a part of the world where you can buy this. And they say, even though it might be in the shadow of bigger brands like Cohiba or Monte Cristo, Bolivar has long been a favorite of smokers who prefer their Cubans on the stronger side. Now, I'm going to bring it back here into something we can get in the States with this next one. It's the E.P. Carrillo Allegiance Confidant. It is a $13 to $14 cigar, and this is the one that is a little bit unusual because it's a collaboration. Instead of being rolled at the EPC factory, it is produced at Oliva in Nicaragua, and this is their collaboration. So, I have, I think, yet to try one of these. I think you've had one, haven't you? I got to get one. This next one we both tried. It's the La Flor Dominicana Andalusian Bull.
Oh, yeah.
At 93 points. It's a $18 cigar. It was Cigar of the Year back in 2016, and what they're saying is it's still really good.
Listen, if you see one on the shelf, just buy it. Stick it in your humidor. Wait for an occasion. They're
exactly.
so good.
It's worth it. Now, this next one's very interesting. It's a $13 cigar, and it is from, we've talked before on the show about Tim Osgener, the son of Kano Osgener, who started CAO Cigars. They eventually sold it to one of the bigger companies. Tim has now started his own, Kano has passed, Tim has started his own private label cigar company called Osgener Family Cigars, and their Bosphorus B52 scored 93 in Cigar Aficionado, and it retails for $13, and they're saying he's about to take the cigar world by storm with this one. And finally, the Romeo and Julieta Short Churchill. This, I believe, is the Cuban version. And so Habanos S.A. decided in 2006 to release the large cigar that Winston Churchill loved in a smaller size, and that's what this was. It's a 4 7/8 by 50 Robusto. They say it's medium-bodied, floral at the start, but takes on warmer notes as it smokes. And so there you go. Those are the 10 cigars that Cigar Aficionado tells you to smoke right now.
Like as in yesterday or months ago.
Or they told you actually back in July, and we are just now getting that to you.
You're supposed to do it all at once, maybe?
Yeah. It's like, what is it? Was that in, what show is it? Was it Reefer Madness? It was one of those shows where the guy's got 30 cigarettes in his mouth and he's smoking them all at once. Yeah, that'd be kind of what this would be like. That would be quite a rush, though, having that many, smoking that many cigars.
Reefer Madness, cinematic brilliance.
He didn't even know at the time how brilliant it was.
That's right.
That's what I can absolutely assure you. So anyway, those are interesting, and we have more cigar lists. We have some spirits list and beer lists as well. In fact, Ian, I actually have a list which I think we'll maybe try to share with you in the next segment of the best rums, the best aged rums to drink right now, to sip right now. So yeah, there's so much of the stuff that I have that I just thought this will be our clickbait show. We'll do everything we can to try to get through as many of this.
Going to do it right now.
Yeah, that's
all
right.
the lists that we haven't gotten to.
The best Anejo tequilas to drink right now, the 22 best bourbons to drink right now, and from Uprocks, the list that I was mentioning, the best underrated rums to drink
Underrated
right now.
rums.
Yeah, so very, very exciting to get to all of these because we got a lot. We got a lot of lists, and you know how it is.
You have a
on the
list
show.
of all the lists that we need to list.
Yes, seems like I've heard that somewhere.
You're speaking with a
somewhere
list.
before. Plus, we still have more to taste on the program. Clown Shoes Beers Mad Perf Sesh, the dry hop session IPA, will be coming up in a few moments, and Lone Pint Brewery's El Cuero, the white stout from Magnolia, Texas, is also going to be, and then a Pasote Tequila Anejo. I just want to go back to
It's
this
so good.
wonderful Jakobus. I've learned a new word here. This is really a wonderful beer. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes when we go for the Pilsners and the lagers on the show, I enjoy them, but I don't find them all that much different from the other similar ones that we've tried. You know,
This one's outrageous. I would just buy a case of this if I knew
they're
where to
usually
get
a cut above the the macro brews, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But in this case, I think this is really outstanding, and I hope people will find a way to find these. So
It's pretty good. I don't taste any rice in it.
you're right about that. We have a minute left in the segment, so let me tell you about a few cigars to watch for that are coming out. Knuckle Sandwich is the cigar brand created by cigar maker Eric Espinoza and television personality Guy Fieri. And they now have 2 new portly sizes. They started shipping from Miami this week, and they are on their way to cigar shops now. The new size is 6 inches long with a 60 ring gauge.
Love it already.
It is called Knuckle Sandwich Gordo C. It's available both in Maduro and Habano, and each blend is entirely Nicaraguan tobacco on the inside. I've always been a big ring gauge guy, Fieri says, which sounds like a personal comment of some sort. Really reminds me of my first days of getting into cigars and getting to sit around and take an hour plus and relax. Now, I agree that big ring gauge cigars are great when you have the time to just sit and really enjoy them. These cigars, like the other sizes in the Knuckle Sandwich collection, are rolled by, oh my God, AJ Fernandez
That guy.
at San Lotano Cigars SA in Nicaragua.
We need to have an AJ count for every episode. I think.
Yeah. The bottom of each box, by the way, reads "Made in Flavor Town," which is a nod to Guy Fieri's catchphrase. They pack 20 to a box, and they retail for about $14 each. So they're not cheap, but they're not like
They're not
outrageously
outrageous,
priced. And be on the lookout for the Black Bomb Firecracker. United Cigars is excited to announce that the long-awaited Black Bomb Firecracker will be shipping to retailers this month. An ongoing production, 3.5 by 50 cigar, packaged in boxes of 25. We are thrilled to bring the Black Bomb Firecracker to our valued retailers and customers, they said. It represents our dedication to providing the finest quality, yada, yada. Black Bomb Firecracker, they say, is a standout in their portfolio. It will be made with a Mexican San Andres wrapper, a Sumatra binder, and Dominican and Nicaraguan tobacco. And it's only MSRP is only $6. So
that's the same size as the one that I smoked earlier today.
So what did I say?
3.5
by 50. Yeah, the Black Bomb Firecracker.
Black Bomb.
So looking forward to trying that, and they will be $150 per box of 25.
Oh,
so
nice.
Look forward to that. All right, other things to watch out for, we will tell you about in the next segment. Plus, the 31 best beers to drink right now. We're getting to that, I promise. It's
What are
Smoking and
they?
Toasted. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasted, one of my favorite sounds in the world. Ian creating our sound effects live, of course, as we like to do here on the program. So welcome back to our show. It's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And by the way, I'm aware that there are some of you who hear the show as a radio broadcast that your station may only have time to take the first hour of the show. So for those of you who will be leaving us at the end of this segment, we want to say thank you, first of all, for listening. And secondly, you can hear the rest of the show by checking us out on our YouTube channel for Smoking and Toasting, or at any of the other social media sites where we post the show.
Yeah, you can listen to it as podcast or any of those things.
Right, absolutely. And so and today, by the way, I just have to tell you, today's drinking news story is going to be one of those stories where you have to see the picture. I mean, it's a good story, but the picture is worth 80,000 words.
I'm really sad that I forgot my ukulele today because I like to back up the drinking news.
And I do appreciate it, but we'll get to that, and I'll make sure we show you guys the photo here in the studio. But for those of you listening on broadcast or audio only podcast, this might be one of those occasions where it would be worth your time to go and check out at least the drinking news segment on video. Speaking of things to check out, we're up to our second beer of the show. It's from Clown Shoes Beer. It's their Mad Perf Sesh, which I assume stands for Mad Perfect Session. It's a session IPA. And, I'll just say this. Clown Shoes makes a lot of IPAs. That's one of the ways they kind of put themselves on the map. Yeah. But they are not known for session IPAs.
I went to the Galveston Island Brewmaster Festival one year. I think it was called the Brewmaster Festival. And I walked in, and they had this big auditorium, or not auditorium, but a big
convention center room. Yeah,
event hall, right? Yeah. And in the middle of it was this gigantic booth that was Budweiser.
Oh, yeah, right. Because they show up at those things trying not to embarrass themselves.
They had hot Budweiser chicks standing outside the door. Like this was like inside the convention center. You walk into their area, through the door.
Kind of like, our beer's not that good, but you can look at us while you drink it.
That's right. And they were the most bored-looking girls at the entire event. Now, the reason I say that is because that's what you see when you first walk in, and you turn to the right. Now, immediately on the right was a very young, at the time, Eureka Heights.
Yes.
Right there on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And Eureka Heights was there, and we stopped and said hi, and then we wandered down, and there was a booth that no one was at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was nobody there. They were called Clown Shoes, and I was like, what is Clown Shoes? My wife loved it just because she loved the name.
Yeah.
So we walked up, and
I'm frightened of clowns, but I love the name Clown Shoes because it just makes you think of funny, big floppy shoes, right?
And they had just a couple of beers. They had a Muffin Top, and they had a couple of other ones.
I remember the Muffin Top.
Right, yeah, it was good. They had Muffin Top and just a couple of other ones, and so I walked up, and we started chatting. There was nobody lined. Other places had lines. There was nobody at the Clown Shoes place.
Right.
And I walk up and I started chatting with the guys, and I made my way a couple rounds. And every place you went, like, they punched your card. You get so many punches and you're done. And so I ended up walking back, and there was a couple people in line. Okay, within an hour, you couldn't get near the place.
That's
like,
how word had spread about how good the beer
Word spread
was.
so fast, and then they were out of beer, I think, before anyone else at the entire show. Like, they were just...
It's a great story.
There was a line. You couldn't get even close to it. It was absolutely crazy, and those guys have done so well since, and this beer is exactly what it should be.
I think this beer is delicious. It is a session IPA, but because it's from Clown Shoes, it has a little more flavor than some of the other session IPAs and I say because it's from Clown Shoes because they're known for big
But here's
beers.
the other thing. So this has a grapefruit thing kind of going on, which you kind of expect from a session IPA kind of style thing. But it's got a little bit of a twist. There's almost a mango-y kind of thing going on in there. And I don't know what else they're doing. On the can it says, it's that time of year again. Birds are chirping. The skateboards are burning and the lads have never been fancier. Big Zo and Tom Tweak are back at the Fancy Lad Park, enjoying themselves a most optimal skateboard sesh or mad perf sesh.
Oh, okay.
The session IPA is brewed with the finest hops and barley suitable for any sesh.
So this is not only about a session IPA, it's also about like a skateboarding session then.
That's right.
That's what they're getting to.
Skate or die, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
Mad
Well,
perf
well,
sesh.
this is wonderful. In fact, this may be one of my favorite Clown Juice IPAs ever.
It's really
'Cause
good.
I love their big ones, but they have a tendency to be things it's like you open that one beer to taste it. It's not like you drink it and you go, I'll have another one of those necessarily at the same time. But this, I could see like staying with this beer all night.
This has an abrupt aftertaste. Like, it finishes so crisp and then just leaves this little bit of fruitiness lingering.
Yes, like a little bit of that mango flavor is just lingering.
Almost like a little bit of like a Smartie kind of aftertaste.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
You know?
I love that. Well, this is quite good, and I recommend it highly. Clown Shoes Mad Perf Sesh. And assuming it's a session IPA, it might even be a little lower in calories, too, which would be amazing for
doesn't say
Clown
calories,
Shoes.
it does say 5.2% alcohol by volume.
Yeah, so that's a session IPA for Clown Shoes.
Yeah.
All right, we will return. We have more beer to taste, including Lone Pint's El Cuero, a white stout, and we also will be tasting a little Anejo Tequila as well before the program's over. For those of you leaving us after this break, thank you. Check us out on video at YouTube, and we will be back at Smoking and Toasting. Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And we're so glad to have you guys on the program today, listening to us and watching us from all over the world. We do very, very much appreciate it. Okay, last week, I believe it was on the show, Ian, I brought you an article from a site I'm not too comfortable with, to be honest, because the name of the site is Delish.com.
Delish.
And that's what Rachel Ray says on that's her
Delish.
That's her catchphrase, and I can't stand Rachel Ray. So
What is it about Rachel Ray? What did she do to you?
I don't
Just
know.
afraid
Just-
she might be involved in that somehow.
yeah, I'm afraid she might be. Yeah, I hate everything about her presentation, and I don't think she's actually a very good cook. I think it's all like manufactured TV personality because she says these little things, and well. I'd say well. So who knows? Maybe I'm just.
What if you meet her and she's the nicest person ever?
Then I'll retract my statement and go on the record. I've been that about a few. I've met a few people that I thought would be complete jerks, and they were super nice. And I've like
Well,
totally.
just because you don't like her presentation and what she's doing on the air doesn't mean as a person you might not. You
Yeah,
know what
but
I mean?
I-
you're not gonna like love what she does on the air. You don't have to like what everybody.
But I
does
think
on
she's
there.
probably a bitch. But but that's just.
It's a little tough to get along with someone where you're like, I can't stand the sound of her voice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the sound of her voice makes me want to like claw my ears off. But anyway, Delish.com is apparently a website that's starting to weigh in on some things, and they have given us a list of the 31 best beers to drink right now. And I thought we would get into this while you're pouring us some tequila.
31 best
31, yeah.
beers to
and
drink
what's interesting
right now.
is they've done them by style.
Oh.
So, and I'm going to take issue with the very first one. We just had a Pilsner that knocked our socks off, the Jakobus that we had earlier on the the program, right? Oh, I knew it was coming. I was just waiting. We had that
The
Pilsner,
scrunching sound was me pulling the cork out, by the way.
Pilsner that just knocked our socks off, but they chose as their best Pilsner, they chose Pilsner Urquell.
Come on.
I'm going to disagree strongly. I can think of a dozen or more Pilsners that are better than Pilsner Urquell. Now, it does have a long history, and I will admit...
And listen, Pilsner Urquell, if there's nothing better, your only other choices
I will
are
admit, I'll drink it.
random other macro brews. I mean, it's drinkable.
Yeah, I agree. But it has a finish that I don't like.
It's called skunky.
Yeah, skunky is what I'm getting at.
It's skunky. You ever notice that the people that like that, like, what's the green bottle? Heineken? Mm-hmm. So, if you're that person,
I'd rather
there's
have
a
a
reason.
Pilsner Urquell than a Heineken.
I would.
Yeah, so their best American wheat ale, I'll go with them on this one. They chose Bell's Oberon American Wheat Ale.
Bell's Oberon is a best of the style. It's also, I'm not a big wheat beer fan,
I
but
agree.
it's
I'm kinda the
definitely
same.
one that I think is fantastic.
I'm kind of the same. For best Mexican beer, they completely missed this one by a mile. They went with Modelo Especial.
It wasn't Corona Light.
No, it's better than that, but it's Modelo Especial. Now, I will admit, that's a drinkable beer. I've had them before, and I haven't wanted to send it back.
Negro Modelo, if they have it.
Negro Modelo is much better, and I'll tell you what's better than all of that is Scout from our local favorite brewery.
Or
here
this.
from,
What about this Orale that we're drinking from Shiner right now?
That's a very good beer.
Beer brewed
Yeah.
with agave, Mexican-style cerveza. It's fantastic.
But Modelo Especial has, with the decrease in sales to Bud Light, has become the best-selling beer in America.
Yeah.
So you have that at least. Now this one, I can't even.
That's
can't
what
even-
you get Bud Light for making the most Bud Light like Bud Light.
Yeah, exactly. And this again, you asked me what I hate about Rachel Ray is that she's probably involved in this list.
And I think she's cute.
And here's what I hate: their best classic
Totally
American
ignored
beer, Miller High Life American Lager. Sorry, that is not the best classic American beer. If you must go with
Did
something
they have
that
to call
has
it
age
Did
behind
they have
it,
to call it an American lager to justify that
I
it's
suppose
not
so.
a very good lager?
but I'll still take a Yuengling over that anytime.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yuengling lager kicks its butt.
Now, I don't know if I would have chosen the same IPA they chose as best, but it's hard to argue with their choice. For number 5, they chose as the best IPA Cigar City Brewing's High Life IPA. I love that beer.
That's a good beer.
Yeah, I love it. For best brown ale, they chose kind of what was the obvious choice, Newcastle Brown Ale. It's like they chose
phoned it in.
the most popular one there.
The more I listen to
Newcastle
this
is
list,
not bad.
the more I think they're phoning it in. Newcastle's not bad. Newcastle has problems, though, because also clear bottle, also a little skunky, a little bitter on the back end. It's not a bad beer, especially when you get it fresh.
Yep.
But it's real easy to contaminate it, like UV contaminate it.
My German pronunciation is not the best, but I will try not to butcher this. Traditional German beer, they chose Wiehenstafner Hefe Weissbier.
Wiehenstaffer?
Wiehenstafner. Maybe you'll recognize the bottle. I'll show you the bottle. That looks familiar.
Hassenpfeffer?
I'm sure there's a way to pronounce this. Weinenstaffer,
Weinenstapper, maybe. Yeah,
I believe.
much better. Anyway, I'm not familiar with that, but it wouldn't be my. I'm not necessarily sure it would be something that I would
Becca,
find
what
to
was the
be-
category?
It was the best traditional German beer.
Well, at least they didn't pick Beck's.
Yeah. Oh, thank God for that. Leffe Blonde was the best Belgian beer.
They're phoning it in.
Yeah. Best classic pale ale. Again, phoning it in, but I don't necessarily disagree. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
How do you, if you're going to do a Belgian style, then how do you pass up Duvel?
Best Belgian style beer. Victory Golden Monkey. Now listen. I know you I can't stand Golden Monkey, but that's just a personal thing.
It's
I
not-
understand that a lot of people really like it and would choose it as a representative of.
It's
the
not
category.
the best.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah, well-
if you're going to, hey, man, what about Meridzu?
I told you.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, But I told you about my buddy Dave and I. When he would throw parties, he would get these Victory mix packs, and he would always wind up with a refrigerator full of Golden Monkey, and he'd be out trying to pawn it off on people.
I
Here,
would
try
be
the
I
Golden
would be
Monkey.
I would be a very happy and drunk person at your party.
For Best American IPA, they chose, and I can't argue with this, Bell's Two Hearted IPA.
That's one of the best IPAs out there. I mean,
Best Irish Beer, Guinness Draft.
that's an easy one. I still feel like they're phoning stuff in, but that's an easy one. Like, it's hard to argue with that at all.
I'm going to skip a few of these. Original American beer. Now, this is interesting. They chose Anchor Steam, which you can't get anymore.
Yeah, they chose a beer that just went tanked.
Yeah.
And it's a great beer.
The best summer beer, they chose Lagunitas Little Something Something Ale, which is
good beer.
interesting. Best New England IPA, they did IPA Lawson's Finest Liquid Sip of Sunshine IPA, which I have not had.
I never heard of that.
Yeah. Best Hoppy Yet Manageable Beer,
Hoppy Yet Manageable is its own category now.
Half Acre Daisy Cutter Pale Ale. And Best Belgian Strong Ale, they chose Chimay Grand Reserve. So, I don't know. I'm not even going to go through this whole
Golden
list.
Drac.
Too many of these.
Chimay's always good. I
There,
mean,
too many of these, though, do not have right now. About
it sounds to me like someone had a list of beers from different places and kind of just picked one that sounded cool.
Now, I will tell you this. Their best original American IPA, they chose IPA Bear Republic Racer 5. I'm an IPA guy. I don't know that I would have put that anywhere near the best. I'm not saying I don't like it.
But at least it's not like that. Sounds like someone put some thought into it. At least,
Sure. I'll give you that.
I don't know.
Best double IPA, Pliny the Elder. Best cult favorite IPA. See, I don't even know where they got these categories.
Cult favorite.
Toppling Goliath, King Sue. Best rare cans, IPA, The Alchemist, Heady Topper. And best stout, they chose Goose Island Bourbon County Stout.
That's too easy,
sir. Yeah, you're right. It is very good.
Totally, it's a good beer, but some of their answers are just a little too easy.
Yeah.
Would you like to know a little about Delish and if Rachel Ray actually is involved or not?
I would love to know.
Okay, this is what it says from one of the websites, and I did a little research real quick, and it checks out. Rachel Ray may have popularized the term Delish, but it appears another magazine publisher bought the domain and plans to use it, which was Hearst Publishing.
By the way,
and when you go to it, there is no mention of Rachel Ray at all.
Well, that's good to know, but it's still the stupidest word ever. I'm sorry. It is. It's the
They stole
stupidest
it
word
from her,
ever.
though, so they
right.
stole
You
the
still
stupidest
stole
word
it
in the
from
world.
Rachel Ray.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah. Oh well.
Do you know how much time you can save in your afternoon just by dropping a syllable off of every word?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It really works.
Come on.
And
I mean, you could, if you dropped a syllable off of every word that was like 3 syllables or more, you could save yourself like 3.5 seconds per day.
See?
I'm with you. And imagine how that adds up over time to like
That's
1
right.
minute.
That's right. Within a year, you've saved 5 minutes of your life.
Let's move on to something interesting. Let's move on to tequila. Have you tasted this yet?
I've been drinking it.
First of all, it's got a
Tasted
really
it. I'm almost done with mine.
Yeah. It's got a really great tequila nose, and
If you like tequila, vanilla, and butter,
this reminds me a lot of Skelly.
yeah, and a little bit of like powdered sugary kind of sweetness on the end in the best possible way.
This is actually wonderful.
It's really, really good. I noticed, by the way, I didn't mention it earlier, but I noticed that you had cleared the top of the bottle of any plastic and
Looks like you went above and beyond
objects,
there
and then you
in the
cleared the
clearing.
neck and made sure that we didn't have to worry about spillage.
I even cleared pretty much the first third of the bottle. Actually. That's what I did. I think this is wonderful. It's got such a big chocolatiness to it, and it's got vanilla and caramel, and it's just like all of the things that I personally like best in my favorite tequilas are kind of included here.
Would you say it's delish?
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
Not ever going to use that word.
It's kind of like when
is it like a tequila palooza in your mouth?
kind of
I'm
like
just putting in all those things that I know you absolutely hate now.
So listen, when Wendy's came out with their beverage size names, and they decided to call the largest beverage the Biggie. I used to go to Wendy's quite often. I don't as much anymore, but I used to go to Wendy's quite often, and I would absolutely refuse to say the word Biggie when I was ordering because I thought it was a stupid word. Nobody says Biggie. I want a Biggie Diet Coke. No, nobody says that.
Biggie.
Yeah, well, that's different. That's different. That's what Biggie is, right? Is Biggie Smalls. So I would go and I would say, I'd like a large Diet Coke, the largest size you have is what I would say. The largest size. And they would say, the Biggie. If that works for you, I would say that works for me.
How do you feel at Starbucks?
Oh, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that language. Yeah, I have a great little portable fan my wife found that we bought, and it's rechargeable. You can take it anywhere, and it's called the Venti fan. And I almost won't say its name because it sounds like one of the Starbucks sizes. But I love that fan. So
can I have a medium burnt bean water, please?
I also love this tequila.
This tequila is
fantastic. We've had so many really good tequilas, it seems, recently on the show, but this may be my favorite one that we've had in a while.
There's a crazy, it's almost, and it's at the very tail end of the aftertaste, it's almost a mintiness to it.
I really want to get our tequila expert, Liliana, back on and see what she thinks.
Liliana, if you're listening, the NOM is 1584. That's 1584.
It's Pasote Tequila Anejo. It's really good, and I'm going to be buying another bottle from the looks of the remaining tequila.
How much
in
did this
one.
bottle cost you?
It was under $50.
Nice. That's outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, we'll be back. We got more show. We got drinking news on the way, and we also have some white stout from our friends at Lone Pine
bird,
Brewery.
man. Look how cool that bird is.
It's super cool. Super cool. Pasote. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Smoking and Toasting. Our show's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I just have to tell you, speaking of fine spirits, this tequila is a fine,
I love
fine
this tequila.
Spirit. It really is. Now, you weren't as much a tequila guy before we started doing the show. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, my ideas of tequila before we did this show were something along the lines of, let's just say, the ones where you harm a lime and
lime and some salt is used. Yeah. I wouldn't want to mess this up with a grain of salt. And I'm a guy who likes salt on everything, but I wouldn't mess this up with a single grain of salt.
I like salt on my food. I don't ever like salt in my drinks. Mm-hmm. Like even when I get a margarita, things like that, I don't get the salt.
Agreed. I'll tell you what else I like. I really like rum. And I have a list from Uprocks, which is a much more credible website than Delish. Yeah. Uprocks has been releasing some very interesting lifestyle things.
I think it's because you don't
food,
say
music.
delish with as much ardor as you should. Delish.
Oh, see, that makes me hate it even more. But Uprocks I like. Rocks is UPROXX, in case you're looking for it. They have some very interesting articles about spirits and other things, and they have chosen 30. Oh no, not a number, but the underrated rums you should be drinking right now.
Right now,
according to spirit experts. And so the first one they give us is Copale Cacao. And Copale Cacao is a flavored rum, one of the surprise items of the year. Natural tasting because it is. It apparently is a rum with chocolate or cacao flavorings to it.
Oh.
And I don't know how
I'm a little on the fence about that.
Yeah, but apparently it's selling like crazy at Handlebars NYC in New York City and has become a thing. So
I'm going to point out that Screwball's selling like crazy.
Good point. And so is Fireball.
And I don't know if you remember us having Screwball on this show.
Yes, I do.
But we were having a hard time finding the good in it.
And Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters loves it. That's
he went on stage
whiskey.
and said it's his favorite, and now you can't go anywhere and not see it.
I know. It's everywhere.
The power of Dave Grohl.
The power of Dave Grohl. I'll admit to it. I do really like this next rum on the list. It's the Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva. It's the one with the old guy with the white beard on the front. That's a very, very good rum. Sells for about $40. Kohana white rum is a pick for underrated rum. Remember, these are supposed to be underrated rums to drink right now.
Now.
Yeah. So Kohana is there. Foursquare Sovereignty. Now, I will tell you, I've got about a half a bottle of this at home. This is a very good rum for whiskey lovers. It does not have the traditional rum.
I feel like you brought that on the show.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And we liked it. It's very high proofed, and it's very. If you're a whiskey lover, this is a rum you would love. If you really love the more traditional rum with the, the sweeter and more, I want to start to say mahogany flavors, but you know what I'm getting at. The more maple and vanilla type flavors. It's a little ways from that, and it's a $100 bottle.
You know, it's funny because I wasn't really a rum guy at all. Now, like the rums that I really like are funky.
Yeah. This one is a staple at my house. Glad to see it on the list. Stiggin's Fancy Pineapple from our friends at Plantation.
100%.
St. Lucia Chairman's Reserve makes the list. It's about a $43 rum. They say it is amazing for the money. I have never seen this one before. Selva Ray White Rum. Is one that they say fantastic with notes of vanilla, pineapple, coconut, and light citrus flavors. Smith & Cross Traditional Jamaican Rum, so you know that one's going to be a little funky. Appleton Estate 8 Reserve, and I will just say this. I like Appleton rums, but you got to go bigger than 8 to really appreciate them, I think. That's a $33 bottle, though. Montoya Rum Exclusiva, about a $57 bottle, rounds out the list. These are the rums that are flying a little bit under the radar, according to these people, and they are definitely underrated and worth your consideration. So definitely. So I'm so glad they put Stiggin's Fancy Pineapple in there. That's
Need to
just
put that Isle of Fiji
a really
on
good
there.
rum. We'll be right back. It's Smoking a Toast, and Drinking News is next. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toast, and our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And in recognition of and celebration of International No Ukulele Day, Ian has not brought his ukulele with us, but don't worry because we have a perfect backup for whenever that happens.
Just when
And
you
in
think
fact,
you've been saved from the drinking news song.
Yeah. Oh, no. Thanks to our good friend and sometimes employed Chris Morris, we have a drinking news song all ready to go for you. Chris wrote this and recorded it himself, and we are ever, ever grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for drinking news.
There's a podcast all about cigars and booze. Hanging out every week with Ian and Cruz. For spirited discussion and cigar reviews. And the segment known around the world is drinking news. It's drinking news. It's what I love. Me and a Florida man and a bottle of rum. I'll pour another round. What do we got to lose? Let me tell you a story, swear to God it's true. Well, a night on the town, we took a turn to the south. When I started drinking that whiskey and running my mouth,
Oh, yeah.
my belly up to the bar, another round or two. That's when the gambler said, I got a bet for you. He gave us $7
yet here you are. So thank you, Chris. Love hearing that every once in a while. That's great fun. Well, Drinking News is our segment of the program where we bring you a story that has been reported in the news that we do swear, just like in the song, we swear it's true. But it's not a parody. It's not made up news like, just for fun, like something like The Onion. These are things that were actually reported. So we've talked here before on Drinking News about how some people will do almost anything to drive in the HOV lane on the highway. If you don't have a passenger, you can try it, but you will very likely be photographed at the toll station and eventually hit with a nice fine in the mail. Some people...
I don't understand how they could tell that inflatable doll was not an actual person.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a few features of the doll that aren't exactly lifelike, perhaps. Some people have used mannequins in the passenger seat to try and fool the cameras. One guy even used a green inflatable Grinch. We reported on that story, but he was caught and wound up having to pay his fine as well. And we're not completely sure that the man in this story was actually thinking about the HOV lane. In fact, we're not sure what the heck this guy was thinking. Maybe you can help us sort it all out. Apparently, a Nebraska man, we take a break from Florida this week
We're moving out of Florida.
Travel to the Cornhusker State, where a Nebraska man named Lee Meyer was pulled over by police while driving his white 1996 Ford Crown Victoria with a set of steer horns on the front.
I just want to stop and say that's one of the coolest sounding cars ever.
Okay. Yeah. The horns were quite large, but they were not nearly as big as the ones that belonged to who was riding in his passenger seat. The passenger seat in question was occupied by a 9-year-old, more than 2,000-pound bull named Howdy Doody.
Moo.
What?
In the passenger seat.
How do you get a bull in the passenger seat?
All right, so here's
Ask
the point.
him nicely.
Here's the point where that's good, Terry.
That's hard.
So here's the point where I hope you guys are watching on video because Adam will be posting this, but I'm just going to turn this photo around so that my co-host here can see it. This is Howdy Doody the bull. I'll just show it to the camera there, but I'm sure Adam will super this up. Howdy Doody the bull riding shotgun in the passenger seat of dude's car.
I just want to point out, at least he modified the car to make it.
Let me tell you, the Crown Victoria, right there.
It's the Crown Vic.
The Crown
baby.
Vic. That can just handle that. All right.
I mean, I don't know what the payload on a Crown Victoria actually is. The max gross weight, but
that.
Officers in Norfolk, Nebraska, about 120 miles northwest of Omaha.
The question is, what did they pull him over for?
Yeah, is that illegal?
They were dispatched.
Is Bunny the bull not? What was the bull's name?
His name was Howdy Doody.
Howdy Doody. I like Bunny the bull. So Howdy Doody probably wasn't strapped in. It wasn't.
Well,
probably didn't have a seatbelt on.
Well, police were dispatched for a call regarding a quote vehicle with a cow inside end quote rolling through town. The cops said they assumed the bovine passenger would be a small calf, but when they came upon the corner of West Norfolk
Maybe he's
Avenue
just big boned
and North 13th Street,
I'm just big man.
they saw it was a full-size bull riding shotgun in Lee Meyer's car. Yeah, and again, if you're listening on the radio or to the audio podcast version of the show, this is one of the times where you want to make sure and go check out your YouTube channel so you can see this photo. Yep. There he is, Howdy Doody in all his glory.
Wow.
The Nebraska man said that he'd had the car's roof on the passenger side removed so the enormous animal could fit. It's a solid car. Meyer told reporters.
It's a solid car. Didn't do anything to the suspension.
It's a solid car, so I went out and purchased up and beefed up the frame that's under it and the suspension and the tires and the floor and cut the top off, and we were all good to go. I don't know why I gave the Nebraska man a Texas accent. It just seemed appropriate somehow. The car is a retired police cruiser from the Nebraska village of Arnold.
Of course it is.
The idea of turning it
I like the idea that the police officer that pulled him over was like, wait a second, is that my old car?
The idea of turning the car into Howdy Doody's wheels had been in Meyer's mind for years, but it took a doubting granddaughter to push him into action. I'd thought about it, I'd talked about it, And one of my granddaughters said it's a bad idea and I shouldn't do it. So I had to show her that Grandpa could do it, Meyer said. It might have been a bad idea, but I did it anyway. According to townspeople, Howdy Doody is a regular attraction at parades and fairs throughout the Cornhusker state. Something about that just makes me laugh. And police just asked the driver to be careful and keep moving.
That's he didn't do
Yeah, I mean, the
anything
question
wrong.
is it illegal?
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the
Like, is there
officers-
anything illegal? Like, you could put them in the trailer.
yeah, I was gonna say
The
trailer.
officers made the rather wise decision not to bring Howdy Doody in for questioning. Howdy Doody,
No.
Howdy Doody, for the record, is half Longhorn, half Watusi. Now, I don't know if you realize what adjustments one would have to make to a Ford Crown Victoria in order to accommodate a bull weighing at the very least 2,300 pounds. But this would not be a project that one would take on lightly. And still, even with all those adjustments, questions remain. Exactly how do you get an animal that size and weight into a Crown Victoria? Who actually drives a Crown Victoria? What happens if they decide to try and get out while you're driving by waving howdy to some cute farm girl on the side of the road? And what if Howdy Doody decides it's duty time all over the back seat
I
of the
knew
car?
that had to come in.
These are questions that demand answers, and the public has a right to know.
Maybe there's an alteration for that.
We will stay on this story until we get the straight poop. Or the rather round disc-shaped poop in this case. Anyway, that's not important right now. Reporting live from Norfolk, Nebraska, where I make it my practice not to even ride in a car with a human named Howdy Doody, much less a 2,000-pound bull that beat out the bearded lady for top attraction at the state fair. My name is Cruz, and that is your drinking news. Cheers, y'all.
News. Cheers, y'all.
Yeah. But you know, this is one of those drinking news stories where the picture really is worth 1,000 words.
That's pretty
That-
amazing.
wow.
Like,
I
it
mean,
was hard
seriously.
to picture until I saw it, and now we'll never be able to unsee
You'll never
it.
be able to unsee
I
it.
will
That's
spend the
right.
rest of the day trying to poke out my mind's eye.
What a wonderful thing. I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I'm going to poke out my mind's eye with this tequila.
That's a good thing to use to do it. Speaking of kind of numbing the mind, I think I should reach down here and bring in our last beer.
I like beer.
All
I'm
I
a
could think
fan.
of was the part in Blues Brothers when he bought the cop car. It's got
Yeah.
cop shocks, cop tires, cop suspension,
Exactly.
cop engine.
It's been far too long since I've watched Blues Brothers. I gotta go back and watch that again. That is just a good thing. Our friends, and I do mean friends, at Lone Pint Brewery in Magnolia, Texas. Ian and his band play there from time to time. They are just absolute connoisseurs of beer. This is, I think, one of the more important breweries in the country right now. I just think they do. First of all, their Lone Pine IPA has just, in my opinion, redefined the standards for
It's
a mainstream
amazing.
IPA. And then they've had all these amazing other beers that they've come up with
The
as
Gentleman's Relish. I love that they're making an English-style brown ale.
well. Right.
And so there's a couple breweries around here that just make such good beers. And I love that some of them are doing styles that just aren't that normal. You know, Eureka Heights has a ESB, which you don't really get a lot of. Why am I only pouring you that much? What is
I
wrong
don't
with
know.
me?
What is wrong with you?
I like that you didn't even reach for it. You're like,
No, I was waiting.
I don't understand that
I was
beer.
waiting.
Gotta
Yeah.
be top.
But this, interestingly enough, these guys don't have a regular production stout. So they come
No.
out with one, and it's a white stout. This just
And by
shows
white
how
stout, look at the
creative they
color
are.
of this.
Yeah.
This is
It's really almost an amber stout, but I understand what they're getting at, right? Because you expect a stout to be dark and chocolatey and coffee-ish, and so we'll see what we wind up with. Lone Pint Brewery's El Cuero, which
there's
is
some kind of
Spanish for
creature.
the Cuero.
What is this creature?
I don't know. It
the
looks
El
like some
Cuero.
sort of it looks like some sort of a shark.
That's what I was thinking.
I still keep waiting for one of them to come out with a chupacabra. Let me see if
Chupacabra.
I can figure out what a Cuero
I was
is.
at the water park a couple of weeks ago wearing my hat from Lone Pint that they gave us when they were here, and someone was like, "Oh, Lone Pint, I love that place." Just
Yeah,
randomly
that's
in the
good.
line next to me, just, "Oh, I love that place. It's great." Yeah.
White stout, 8.2% by volume.
So Cuero actually means leather in English.
The leather white stout. You know, there's got to be a story behind this. We're going to have to ask Blake about this next time we have him on. This is it's lovely. It's delicious though. It's weird because the color and the flavor belie each other. It's coffee and chocolatey and
Now I did
and
go.
it's this weird color. Like, what is going on there?
I did go to the Urban Dictionary, which sometimes gives you alternative translations for different things. And according to the UrbanDictionary.com,
Wait, does this have something to do with the clear table and some lady of the evening standing above it?
close. It's Dominican slang for the word slut. For any guy or girl that is too easy.
Oh,
So there you go.
so I wasn't too far up.
You weren't all that far off. I don't think that's what they were getting at here.
Not sure that
At
that's
Lone
what they
Pine.
were going for.
But I tell you, this beer is delicious.
It's
It is
fantastic.
It's got a certain coffee vibe to it, but it almost reminds me more of like Buffalo Bayou's coffee ale or coffee blonde than it does of a traditional stout.
It's got a stout mouthfeel though. It's not thin.
No, it's not, and it's got almost there's a chocolatiness to it that reminds me more of white chocolate.
Yes.
Now, people are very much divided on white chocolate, whether it is actually chocolate or not. But I'm thinking that I enjoy the taste of it in this beer.
Here's the
one way or
thing.
another.
I actually don't like white chocolate. Mm-hmm. But occasionally you get stuff that is white chocolate flavored.
Or what if you like
It's
a white
kinda
chocolate?
good.
What about like an almond dipped in white chocolate? Would you eat that? No, not your thing.
No. Give me dark chocolate covered almonds.
Oh,
or
my wife
if you
got
go
these-
by Buc-ee's, they have
Yeah.
the they have the dark chocolate covered pecans.
Oh, those are amazing.
I'm sorry, pecans.
Pecans, yeah. I'll tell you something else too. There is my wife bought these. I don't know the brand. I'm sorry, but there are some lemon flavored almonds. They're roasted almonds, and they have this coating on them that tastes like a lemon bar. And it is amazing. And it's got white powdered like sugar type. So it's amazing.
You see what good beer does?
amazing.
It makes us have conversations about all kinds of stuff.
I love this
I
beer.
absolutely love it.
I absolutely love this beer, and these guys stay on my list of the most important breweries operating right now. I would put these guys. I would put Parrish. I would put Bell's.
You ever eat Jordan almonds?
Yes.
Take a sip of this and think about that little candy shell. It's got a little candy kind of
It does.
shell to it.
It's delicious.
It's so good.
And I want more. It's Smoking and Toast, and we will be right back.
I'm gonna pour you some more.
Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and I don't know if I would have thought these would go together that well.
So El Cuero White Stout
Yep, from Lone Pint.
and Pasote Tequila, they form like Voltron.
Yeah, this is a pretty
They're pretty
good pairing.
amazing.
I liked in the intro, y'all were just sipping and sipping.
Yeah. It's kind of like what I do at home by myself during the evening. Yeah. No, seriously, those two just absolutely work well together.
Yes.
That's always nice when we stumble across one of those completely by accident here on the show. All right, before we wrap up, I promised you more lists than we were able to bring you. And so I don't know how good right now translates to next week. So we'll just have to do our best.
Next week we will continue to speak in a list.
Yeah, there we go. Or with a list.
Speaking with a list.
Yeah. But here we go. I'm going to bring you the list of the 22 bourbons you have to try right now. This is according to a website. I was new to this one, manofmini.com. I don't know mini what, but manofmini.com. So starting with 22, Kings County Distillery. Number 21, Booker's. By the way, interrupt
Booker's,
me.
heck yeah.
Interrupt me anywhere. E.H. Taylor Jr. at 20. Jim Beam at 19. 1792 Bourbon at number 18.
No.
Number 17 was Old Fitzgerald. Number 16 was Michter's. Number 15, Elijah Craig. Number 14, Knob
Elijah
Creek.
Craig is always solid. Knob Creek is always solid.
How about Four Roses at number 13? Yeah, not bad at
It's
all.
real hard to go wrong with Four Roses.
Jefferson's Bourbon at 12. Parker's Heritage at 11. Your
I
thoughts,
don't know
sir?
that one.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar. Maybe on next week's show we'll delve into Parker's heritage a little bit, try to find out about it for you.
Right now.
Wild Turkey at 10.
You know what sucks about Wild Turkey?
What?
Not a damn thing.
I love it. Eagle Rare is at number 9.
Eagle Rare is good.
Old Forester, number 8. Number 7
Also.
is Maker's Mark, although I will admit at least go up one from the base brand.
Maker's
Mark
Mark
46.
Maker's Mark unto itself is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Maker's Mark 46 is exquisite.
Russell's Reserve at number 6. At number
Russell's
5.
Reserve's pretty good.
At number 5, W.L. Weller.
Oh, man, stop telling people that Weller is good.
Yeah,
I want
okay.
to be able to find it on the shelf again.
At number 105, Weller.
Yeah, Weller's no good. Don't buy it, anybody.
Number 4, Woodford Reserve.
Woodford Reserve is always good.
Buffalo Trace is at number 3.
Yeah, man.
George T. Stagg at number 2.
That's easy to find.
And at number 1, although good luck finding this unless you're really wealthy and can buy it on the secondary
This is
market,
going to be Blanton's.
Pappy Van Winkle.
Oh, Pappy Van Winkle.
Yeah. And Blanton's is good, too. I'm kind of glad they didn't list it, though, because it is... I mean, they did list Buffalo Trace. It's the same mash bill, right?
Yeah, Buffalo Trace is amazing, and it's the right price. Buffalo
Mm-hmm.
Trace is $23, $25 a bottle now.
Right. Gotta love it.
Used to be less, but there's some on that list that I think are pretty solid choices. Any Elijah
Absolutely.
Craig you're going to be happy with. Four Roses. The George T. Stagg, that one's a little pricey and real difficult to find.
Michter's. Michter's is solid, right? Yeah. So I mean, there's all kinds of good things on here. It makes me want to go home and sift through my bar because I know I got some Russell's Reserve sitting back there,
in there
that I haven't tapped in a while. So that would be something to really look forward to. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand rolled cigars. There's so many of these lists we didn't get to, but I feel like we got some good ones at least. There are lists for rum that we didn't get to. There are lists for more cigars that we didn't get to. So we'll bring these to you in the coming weeks. And we also love tasting things and telling, well, we love tasting things just because we love tasting things, but we also love telling you about what we are tasting. And I just want to point out that today's tequila, the Pasote Tequila
It's so
Anejo,
good.
is one of the better tequilas I think we've had on this show in a long time. I think it's just absolutely spectacular. I couldn't recommend it higher, and I say that at the risk of not being able to find it because all you jerks will go out and buy it at my favorite store and it won't be there when I go to get a refill. I'm just saying.
We're talking to you, our listening audience.
That's right. Thank you for listening, you jerks. No, but we do appreciate it. This is the stuff we love telling you about, actually, is these kind of hidden gems. You know, to me, that's one of the whole reasons to do the show and enjoy the show. So Ian, thanks for everything this week. This is a
Man,
good
you
one.
rocked this week.
Yeah, absolutely, you did. I feel like, and you know who really rocked was Terry, our engineer, who's just
Crushing it.
putting it all together and crushing it. And a special thanks to Chris Morris for this week's
Covering me
song.
me for forgetting the ukulele.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Chris.
the ukulele will return next week, as it always does. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Our thanks to Adam and the Cloud as well. And we have some very interesting things shaping up for the program, so we want to encourage you to stay with us. If you are listening to us on broadcast radio, thank you so much. That's our newest venture, is being on broadcast radio, and we're really excited that there's some
nationally syndicated
stations
my friend.
nuts enough to actually carry Smoking and Toasting on the weekend on their lineup. So thank you guys for all of that. I hope you have a great week. I hope you try this Pasote Tequila Anejo, and we'll be back with more good stuff to drink and talk about next week. Until then, we lift our glass and we say, as we love to here in Texas, cheers y'all.
It's alright when it's okay.